Are you pro-life? I am. I'm pro-life all day long. I've got several children. We got one on the way right now. I love children. I would never get rid of any of my children ever. Okay. Trump's got a pro-life ad. And he also talks about abortion. He talks about Roe v. Wade. I want to get into a video today. I got a couple of clips for you guys, but I want to share with you some of my experience with, abortions, people in my life that have had abortions and stuff like that. Now, and at the end here, I got a really special clip for you guys. So stick around. I think everybody should see this. It's very touching. So stay to the end. I got a really, really nice clip for you guys. Some of you may have seen it, but I think that it's a very appropriate time, especially for this video. So I'm pro-life. As I said, my wife and I own a company. We work together side by side, and we've hired many people. Two of which I can recall right now. They were some chicks from the hood. We had just got started, so we hired them. We didn't give them a chance. First of all, we had issues because they were on welfare. We did everything we could do to help them. They showed up smelling like weed. They wouldn't show up some days. It was just random. They just basically did whatever they wanted because they had government assistance. All right. So just bear with me because I want to drive this home and I'll make a point. Government assistance. These two girls in particular, they had public housing. So a lot of their rent's being paid. No father figures. Of course, not married because that's typical for the government assistance. When you have government assistance, they don't like you to keep a man around for obvious reasons. These two girls, I won't say their names, but they worked for us for a couple of months, so we got to know them pretty good. At first, everything was all right, but then we started noticing that just some bad habits. And we were, my wife and I was talking about just firing them, but both girls winded up getting pregnant by guys that they weren't married to, and almost around the same time having abortions. Okay. Reckless. Getting drunk, getting high. We're talking about your typical hood girl having a number of children and having abortions. It's something that my wife and I just didn't understand. We, like I said, we tried to help them as much as possible. And, without getting into someone's personal life, you just try to do what you got to do. But man, this was, it was very, very telling, So me personally, with my experience seeing these things, I come to the conclusion, and I know, maybe some people may not understand this, but I come to the conclusion that some of these girls, man, they don't have the values. They don't want to get married. They know what they're doing. The abortion is convenient for them, which is such a bad way to look at this. We all know what the governmental systems are doing here. We know what they're doing. They're replacing the fathers. These two girls had guys coming in and out of their house all the time. They would tell us wild stories. Guys coming in and out of their house all the time. Just random guys being around their kids. And it was just crazy. And they didn't really seem to care. One girl was like always abusive to her daughters. We hated it. But we felt like we couldn't say anything because it was like, it wasn't our business or something. But it was really bad. It was really, really bad, man. And I seen that. So when I hear abortion, I may think about it a little bit differently than most people because I've seen how irresponsible a lot of these women are, or so-called women. I see how irresponsible they are and the kind of lifestyles they live and how they actually treat their children. I'll always be on the side of educating people, giving them resources, not abortions. So I want you guys to take a listen to Trump's ad. I think it's right on point. I think what Trump is saying is great.
Under my leadership, the Republican Party will always support the creation of strong, thriving, and healthy American families. We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby. What could be more beautiful or better than that? Today, I'm pleased that the Alabama legislature has acted very quickly and passed legislation that preserves the availability of IVF in Alabama. They really did a great and fast job. The Republican Party should always be on the side of the miracle of life and the side of mothers, father, their beautiful babies, and that's what we are. IVF is an important part of that, and our great Republican Party will always be with you in your quest for the ultimate joy in life. Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart, or in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people. I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart on this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently, and very sadly, a nation in decline.
Yeah, you can't miss with that. That's pretty special. I think that I don't think Trump's compromising. I think that he's right on point, really. Guys, I want you to listen to this clip. It's a little bit sad, but the story is just amazing. I'm just hoping YouTube will let me play it because it's not coming from a bad place. I want you guys to understand what this is about, what we're talking about. I truly care about life, and this guy's story is just absolutely amazing. Take a listen.
I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions perform between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head in the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times, sometimes the little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg and got sick. You know, earlier on I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. You know, after over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life, I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.
This comes down to being a good parent. It just comes down to educating your kids, man, keeping your kids close to you so they don't want to make these kind of decisions. You know, when you get married, when you settle down and have a family, this is what God wants us to do. This is exactly what God wants. And some people just choose not to do that, and then they have to suffer the consequences later. But what God is telling us to do, how he's telling us to have family, get married, this is good for everyone. It's good all the way across the board. Why isn't there more education for that? Why aren't there more people educating these people? So there should be more education on having children, on getting married, on what to, how to choose your husband or wife. There should be more emphasis towards that. Everybody knows that that's the best thing and that's the best way. When you talk the truth to these youth, they'll understand. But you, as a parent, as an adult, you have to educate them and you have to want to do that. They're going to know if you're not being genuine. They're going to know if you're not sincere about what you're saying. Be good examples yourself. Maybe they won't want to get abortions. Maybe they don't want to get pregnant. Maybe they don't want to have sex until they get married. That's ideal. So, man, listening to this guy's story is just, it touches me every time. And I put that in there because I want people to understand what abortion is all about, man. Like what happens there, because it's bad. It's really bad. And I think that should never happen, ever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. Until next time, this has been Yup, I Said It.